With a contract set to expire tomorrow and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. In a video on Instagram, former WWE ring announcer Lilian Garcia revealed what she has been up to recently.
Okay, it's time. Right, Colby? It's time. It's time to reveal what I've been doing in South Carolina. All right, so ever since my mother's passing in 2021 and my dad passed before that, my sister and I have been going back and forth to South Carolina. This is where we grew up. I got here when I was 8. Ellie was 12. Yeah, and so we've been coming back and forth to empty out our childhood home. But it was taking forever. And it was really a full-time job, really, because my parents accumulated a lot of things over, 50 years. So, you know, and our stuff was in here too, so we can't blame it all on my parents. But anyway, so I moved back in. This is my childhood home. Wow, to say it's been an emotional roller coaster is an understatement. Beautiful moments, beautiful memories, and a lot of discoveries of going through their things too that my sister and I didn't even know about. So it was really cool. And she's been coming back and forth from Nashville. But now we put the house up on the market, and now it's time for me to go to the next place. However, I want to take you to one of the rooms inside because I just feel like sharing it. So this is it. This is my room. This was my room, guys. And you will see missing wallpaper right there. So my mother actually decorated this room with this wallpaper. My sister had the pink room, I had the blue room. I love blue. But she ran out of wallpaper, so she left it like that. And then my dresser was right there, so you never saw it. And I didn't even notice it until emptied out the room and got a good laugh. I was like, oh, Mom. She found a way to empty it. I mean, she found a way to disguise it anyway. Anyway, years spent in this room. That closet right there, wow. I would go in there and hide in there, and yeah. It's a lot of special memories in here. Anyway, time to move on though. Okay, so where am I going? I'll reveal that tomorrow. I don't mean to leave you in suspense, but so look, bottom line, anybody that has had to do this, that's had to empty out their childhood home after the parents passing, man, it is loaded with emotions and memories and all of that. But it's okay. It's okay to sit in those emotions. It's okay to process. It's okay to grieve. A lot of tears have been shed between my sister and I, and we know we have to close this chapter. But it doesn't mean it's easy. Yeah, but it's time. It's like a part of me thought I'd never get here, and then a part of me can't believe I'm here. So, anyway, tomorrow I'll reveal where I'm going next. Love you guys.
On social media, AEW star Miro posted a clip of him in a movie scene with Kevin James.
3, 2, 1, action!
Ravens!
Praising his son Jacob's wrestling abilities, Mark Henry said this to the Recap, Rewind, Relive podcast. I can tell you right now, I would put his wrestling acumen up there with everybody at the top at NXT. His understanding and knowledge of the Force, if you will, for lack of a better term, is on a scale of 1 to 100. Jacob is probably about 85 in his understanding and knowledge. and that's 18 to turning 19-year-old kid. So when he gets 21, 23, somewhere in there, whenever he decides to become a professional wrestler, he's going to be elite. He's already physically there. He's more than mentally there. He just has to put the work in and practice the actual business of pro wrestling. He realizes what it is to be a professional already because he sees his father's example. He won't make the mistakes that I made. He'll be better than me. With him last seen on WWE programming at WrestleMania 39, where he suffered an injury during a match against The Miz, Shane McMahon was recently spotted at a New York Yankees game.
Here comes the money! Shane McMahon in the house. Once again, this is yeah!
Talking about the return of MJF to AEW, president of the company, Tony Khan, told TV Insider, "It's really great. It means a lot to have MJF in AEW. He has been a great world champion and one of our biggest stars. Having MJF on Wednesday nights every week on TBS is a big deal. He was in an altercation with Rush last week, one of our top international stars and a brutal pro wrestler. Rush will be in action tonight, surely beating the hell out of some poor kid from Iowa. I know MJF will be in the arena tonight, so something to keep an eye on. MJF is one of our greatest stars. We are happy to have MJF back in AEW, I believe, permanently." After Ricochet suffered a beatdown at the hands of Braun Breaker on Raw, his fiancée and WWE ring announcer Samantha Irvin posted a photo of them together. Now Irvin has cleared up speculation surrounding the picture in this video.
For those of you wondering, this is crazy. I'm flying to Scotland right now. That picture is 7 months old. So you guys are crazy. You guys, like, seriously, not all of you, but obviously the ones in the comments that are like, "He looks fine to me. He looks fine to me." That's insane that you don't have pictures with your loved ones on your camera roll that you can post in a time of need when they could use a boost of support. It's crazy. You should start taking pictures with your loved ones. So anyway, I just wanted to clear that up. That picture's from December. I wore that on Raw in December. See y'all in Scotland.
Revealing an interesting detail regarding his involvement in the Who Killed WCW docu-series by Vice, Kevin Nash noted on his Click This podcast, "Anybody that's not over it, anyone that holds a grudge to anybody, I don't know, I'm just not that person. I don't think I could be more cavalier in this thing. They weren't paying me that much. I was stoned to the bone." Mentioning who he believes led to the downfall of WCW, Konnan said this on Busted Open Radio. "I never thought it was Hulk Hogan. I always thought it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. As a matter of fact, I said Eric Bischoff hitched his wagon to Hogan instead of the other guys because they were the ones coming up with the cool ideas. They were the cool factor. Hogan's the one that said, 'Bro, I'm getting booed. I've got to do something to resurrect my career.' Kevin Sullivan and Eric were the ones that convinced him to turn heel. They had to sequester him to make sure he didn't change his mind or somebody got in his ear, whatever was going on. To me, when they fired X-Pac, because I was there, I was friends with them, and they were sitting in the arena and they were hot as an MFer. They had shirts on, like button-down shirts, and they opened up their shirts and they had WWE shirts. They were willing to go up in the ring, open up their shirts, show WWE, and support X-Pac. When Eric fired X-Pac, they took their ball and went home, meaning they were not giving any more ideas. They weren't coming in on time, they weren't playing anymore, and just the jealousy and everybody cutting each other's throats. And Hogan always looking up for himself, that was part of the reason. Calling out Chris Jericho for a match in AEW, former WCW star Crowbar posted this clip.
that is something that I have never, ever heard during one of my matches.
When it comes to the AEW status of the Grizzle Young Vets, Zach Gibson and James Drake, Fightful Select reported, we're told that there have been ongoing AEW contract talks between the two sides, but that as of last week, it wasn't a slam dunk that they'd end up there. All Elite Wrestling does maintain interest in the team. Taking to X, Grayson Waller would take a shot at the Women of Scotland as the Clash of the Castle event in the country is set for this weekend.
About to jump on a very long flight to Scotland, but I got myself a little rum and pineapple here. Little treat to get through the next 9 hours, thinking about the fact that I have to go back to that hole. In fact, last time I was in Scotland, I actually got myself in a little bit of trouble. I might have said that all the women in Scotland look like Shrek. People were upset. It was in the newspapers. I had dozens of DMs, and I did feel a little bit bad about it. But then I read the DMs, and I put a green filter over all the profile photos of the ladies messaging me. It turns out I was right. They do all look like Shrek. Although, a few do look like Donkey. But speaking of Shrek, this Friday, live on SmackDown from Glasgow, huge Grayson Waller effect with two blokes who would be perfect dressed up as Lord Farquaad, DIY. And this is going to be a very difficult Grayson Waller effect. Probably the most difficult of my career because I have to make it look like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa belong in the ring with me and Austin Theory. I've got to make it look like they're superstars, lad. So, boys, a bit of advice, just for 1 week only, for one show. If you go without dressing up and cosplaying as your bosses, that would be lovely because we want to make it seem like you guys belong in there with us. You keep talking about you want a tag title match, make it look like you deserve a tag title match. And we have lots to talk about. Talk about the fact I beat Johnny Gargano on SmackDown last Friday. Talk about the fact that despite DIY teaming for years, there's no way they deserve a shot at me and Theory's tag titles. In fact, what I think we should talk about is the fact that the internet keeps saying that something's going on with me and Theory, but the truth is me and Theory, we're as good as mates than ever. Sometimes, you go through some troubles, but that's what mateship really is. Me and Theory, best mates, and this Friday, the best mates, hosting the Grayson Waller Effect live in an absolute hole. This is my swan.
Explaining why he will not be an on-screen character on NXT, Shawn Michaels told Sportsnet, "Honestly, NXT is about the future. I'm very happy and proud of the career that I got to have, but it is not about me anymore. So we want to help where I can, and from a television standpoint, there's somewhere that I can be helpful in that regard, and that's great. It's mostly about focusing on the future and the talent in NXT." During that same interview, Shawn Michaels said this about introducing the NXT Women's North American title. From the very beginning, from the recruiting process, I don't know any other way to say it, but just so many stud athletes out there. Gosh, I don't want to create a competition, I guess, or a negative one with the men or anything, but again, it's just amazing some of the extremely athletic and talented women that are out there, and how quickly they're adjusting and adapting to learning this if it's something that they haven't watched a lot or grown up with. It's one of those things, again, it's a word that gets tossed around, but it's true, has just happened organically, and clearly our women, as are all women, are on the same level as the men. It was only fitting that we have a North American Men's Championship. We should have a North American Women's Champion, and clearly NXT has the depth of a roster that can sustain it, so for me it was an easy call. And again, very proud of not just our women's division, but of all of our women that come through here in NXT. As Ricochet appears to be leaving WWE in the summer when his contract with the company expires, Jim Ross was asked about the star potentially joining AEW and if he would be surprised by this move, with him saying on his Grilling JR podcast, well, not really. But I don't know how much difference he makes. It depends on how he's brought in and how he's presented and positioned. He's a talented kid. There's no doubt about that. I've met with him before and I like him. He's very spot heavy. I'd like to see him be a little bit more fundamentally sound. But he's very talented and athletic, so who knows? It seems obvious that the AEW brand might be where he migrates to. It's regular work, and guys can work 1 or 2 days a week and still make a good living and work with quality guys. Tony Khan has assembled an amazing roster. Ricochet could add something to the mix if he's brought in the right way and makes an impact. We'll see how it works out, but he's a good kid and very talented. Staying on the topic of Ricochet potentially joining AEW, international champion of the promotion and former opponent of Ricochet, Will Ospreay, posted this photo hinting at an encounter with the star.
There's a dartboard.
Boy, you're not even shit.
Giving his perspective on AEW, The Undertaker said this in a Q&A on his Patreon. I agree with you. I don't think there is a real, true leader in the locker room. And I am not sure. I have nothing against the man, but I don't know that Tony is the guy to run the company. I mean, his heart's in a good place and he wants to do something, but I just don't know he has the acumen to run a wrestling company against the juggernaut that is the WWE. But hey, I could be wrong. There was that one other time I was wrong, but I hope they get it together and we do have some competition. It's better for the wrestlers, it's better for the audience, it's better for the fans, it's better for everything. In some unfortunate news, WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi mourned the loss of his cousin, posting this photo in writing, "Rest easy, my Uso Nick. We grew up in the Bay Area as kids, first cousins. As time flew by, we went on our own separate ways, journey of life. Circle back around years later back in the Bay Area. We told each other we were so happy to see each other. It's been a minute since we caught up. It was good to see Nick. He's a humble Us, never drama, always smiling, and a good man. After laughing for hours, it was time to leave. Last thing we said to each other, I'm proud of you, Uso. Take care of yourself, and we meet up soon again. Not knowing this was the last time we would meet up. Sad to hear the news. Gone too soon. Fly high, my Uso Nick. God must have needed you more. Let light shine to begin the healing of our family. Sending love, light, prayers to my Auntie Lima and my cousins and his wife. Love you all. Glad we took time to take this photo. You will be missed, my Uso." For a legal update on Sonny falling or incarceration, Ringside News wrote that WWE Hall of Famer Tammy Sytch, also known as Sonny, has faced significant legal challenges, including a DUI manslaughter case that has had a profound impact on her life. Recently, it has been reported that the trial date for her wrongful death lawsuit has been set. In case you weren't aware, Tammy Sytch has been entangled in legal troubles over the years, leading to repeated incarcerations and a tarnished reputation. Following her involvement in a fatal 3-car crash in 2022, which resulted in a 17-year prison sentence, things just haven't gone well for her. According to PW Insider, a trial date has been set for the lawsuit brought by the estate of Julian Lasseter, who tragically lost his life in a March 2022 traffic incident involving Sytch. Sytch was convicted of DUI manslaughter and other charges related to the incident. The jury trial is scheduled to commence on October 7th, following the sounding of the docket and jury selection starting on October 2nd at the Circuit Court of the 7th Judicial Circuit in Volusia County, Florida. The lawsuit, seeking damages in excess of $30,000, alleges that on March 25th, 2022, Sytch was intoxicated while operating a motor vehicle southbound on North Young Street in Ormond Beach, Florida. It claims Sytch negligently collided with the rear end of Julian Lasseter's vehicle near the intersection of West Granada Boulevard, causing severe injuries that led to his death the same day. The legal action further asserts that Sytch's negligence resulted in significant medical and funeral expenses for the Lasseter family. Additionally, Julian Lasseter's adult daughter is described as having suffered and continuing to suffer from the loss of her father's companionship, guidance, and mental anguish due to his death. Going over the AEW contract status of Jeff Hardy, Ringside News said Jeff Hardy is set to become a free agent on Friday. Initially, there were speculations that AEW might extend Jeff Hardy's deal due to significant injury or sabbatical time, but as of Wednesday, that doesn't seem to be the case. Jeff's brother Matt departed from the company in early April, and although there were discussions about a possible renewal, there haven't been ongoing talks since then regarding Matt's return. According to Fightful Select, sources within TNA Wrestling expressed their interest in Jeff Hardy given his history with the organization. Matt Hardy has been actively working with TNA, and according to sources, things have been going so well that they've even requested him to work additional dates. As Jeff Hardy approaches free agency, the wrestling world eagerly anticipates his next move, with speculation surrounding his future in AEW and potential interest from TNA wrestling fans are left wondering where this iconic figure will ultimately land. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.